welcome to Truth or Politics. I'm your host, Darlene Price, and tonight we have a few topics. Our main topic, gender identity, should it be discussed or taught in schools? If you'll hold off just a minute, I know that's a big topic, a controversial topic. We've got a couple of updates we need to do. We're going to talk about the bears and an update on our documentary special report we did on Lake Cumberland. First, bears. For those of you just joining us, because we have some new people from Ohio. Hello, Ohio. We have some folks in Florida. We live in the middle of the Daniel Boone National Forest. From where I sit right now, literally within, a mile, maybe 2 mile radius, 360 around us is forest. Bears, they come right through town, and we have a lot of super cool wildlife. We have elk now, we have wolves, we have it all. But this time of year, unfortunately, our furry little friends, the black bears, become kind of a nuisance. And I know there's a lot of you out there that hate them. You know, they can be a pain in the butt, and I get it. But I personally, I'm a big lover of the black bears. I think that they can help us with tourism and everything else. And, I've had a lot of experiences with black bears. I spend a lot of time in the woods, a lot of times, way more than the average bear. Hey, boo-boo, remember that? More than the average bear. Anyway, for all the young people are like, what is that from? The older people know what I'm talking about. Anyways, here's the thing, folks. A lot of the pictures that are being posted, people posting them getting in the trash. If you'll look, a good example, I'm not going to pick on anybody specifically, but one picture is of a dumpster. Okay, one of those big metal dumpsters. Well, the lid is open and it's overflowing with trash. Folks, that's like sending out an open invitation to the bears. Please come raid my trash. You have to think of these things as giant raccoons. Really, that's what they are, giant raccoons. And for the most part, they want nothing to do with humans. I've hazed them out of my yard many times. On the trail, you just get out of here and they take off. They don't want nothing to do with you most of the time. But the problem is when people are not careful with their trash or their food in their cars or whatever, and bears start associating that food with humans. That's when things can become a little bit dangerous. So we had an incident, I guess, in Parker's Lake. Won't mention any names, where a bear tried to get through the front door on somebody. Folks, one of the safest ways to haze these bears away from you, get yourself a metal spoon and a metal pot, like a metal pot to cook in. Keep it by your front door. You bang that metal spoon against that metal pot. There's something about that metallic sound that scares the bejesus out of them. It just, I've 400-pound bears, I've hazed them right out of the yard because there's something about that sound they don't like. That's very helpful. The sound of a shot a lot of times doesn't scare them because, they don't know what that is. But that loud shot, that banging sound helps. You don't want to get too close to them. You just got to use some common sense tactics. Do not get between a mother bear and their cubs, that type of thing. So every year we cover this. Every year we try to tell people, and for the idiot, and yes, you're an idiot, throwing the trash out of your car on the side of the road, your McDonald's trash and stuff, well, that piece of trash, that McDonald's bag, has human scent on it and has food scent on it. Even if there's no food left in that bag, it's going to draw the bears to that. And here you go again. The bears are associating human scent with food. You're creating a dangerous situation. So one more reason why you idiots throwing this trash out should not be doing it. Okay, by the way, this is a call-in show, but if you'll hold off just for a minute or two till we get to the main topic, if you'll hold off. And again, number 606-376-5000, 606-376-5000. Also, there's another number, 372-0002, that's 372-0002, that's the free long distance number. But hold off just for a minute because we're going to cover another topic. So that's the bears. For those of you who are just joining us, new people, again, welcome aboard. And got to put my eyes on so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, we did a special report. It's called Lake Cumberland, What Really Lies Beneath. Please go to YouTube. Just type in Lake Cumberland, What Really Lies Beneath. It's got over 2,000 views already, parts 1 and 2. And what we exposed was the mayor of Somerset, Kentucky, Mayor Keck, K-E-C-K, spell it right. Him and some of the city council, a lot of the city council doesn't want this, but he has the majority of the vote. They have brought in, by now, an estimated 35 to 40 million gallons. Let me repeat that. 35 to 40 million gallons of toxic waste from at least 4 different landfills. These are industrial waste landfills that absolutely will have things like hexavalent chromium, PFOs, PFOAs, aka also known as C8, which is going through a defective wastewater treatment plant. How do I know it's defective? Because I've got literally over 1,000 documents telling us it's defective. The plant is, and E. coli and a bunch of other stuff has already gotten through. If E. coli is getting through, C8's getting through. So that's the gist of the documentary. Please go watch it. Part 1's the human part of it, and we do an overview. Part 2 is the actual documents that you'll get to see. We only posted, 117, I think, documents. And believe me, it would have been 10 hours long had we posted, over 1,000 documents. So I want to hit this, though. Back when we were going through this, we did open records requests, and I received an email from Diana Robertson. She is the pre-treatment coordinator, that's pretty high up, with the Kentucky Division of Water. And I asked her, why isn't the state of Kentucky testing for PFOs, PFOAs, also known as C8? These are also called forever chemicals. And I'm going to tell you why this is important in just a second. For the people who've been watching this and following it, This was her answer back. This is November 10th, 2021, last year, 2021. And she sent this message to Dana Whitus, because Dana Whitus, who's the head of the wastewater treatment plant up there in Somerset, asked her, are we supposed to be testing for C8? What's the story? This is what she says. As a follow-up to an earlier conversation, there are currently no federal or state wastewater treatment standards limits for PFOAs, PFOs, PFAs, also known as C8. As a result, the wastewater treatment plants in Kentucky are not routinely sampling for those parameters. And I wouldn't expect to see sampling of industrial user discharges for those parameters either, as there are no applicable limits. So her excuse, all your tax dollars going to Frankfurt to this Kentucky Division of Water and the Kentucky EPA to protect us. Her excuse is, well, there's no standards, so we don't have to protect you from it. Let me tell you what just came out. On June 15th, 2022, about a month ago, the EPA issued guidelines. This is the federal EPA guidelines with new limits for how much PFOs, PFOAs should be in drinking water. Both of these compounds are part of a larger class of chemicals called PFAs, which is for polyfluoroalkyl substance, which are known as forever chemicals because they don't break down in the environment over time. These chemicals have water and grease resistant properties that are used in a wide variety of products, including non-stick cookware, waterproof clothing, food packaging, firefighter foams, and there's a list of other stuff. Also, what you find in these 4 industrial landfills. These 4 industrial landfills are loaded with the items that contain C8. Okay, PFAS exposure has been linked to health issues such as kidney, testicular cancer. I'll learn how to say it in a minute. Weakened immunity, endocrine disruption, fertility problems, and decreased birth weight. The previous guideline set in 2016 set a limit for 20 parts per trillion with the T. Now I cover all of this, by the way, the old limits, in Lake Cumberland, What Really Lies Beneath. That's the equivalent to 7 grains of sand in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. And what the old limits were is anything more than that, which is very phenomenally small, is, parts per trillion, is deadly, okay? Well, guess what? The new advisory decreased that by more than 1,000-fold. The new limits for PFOs is 0.02 parts per trillion for PFOs and PFOAs. It's 0.0004 for PFOs. Essentially, the EPA has said, close to zero as you can get, okay, that zero, there's no safe amount. There is no safe amount. Zero is the standard, pretty much. No safe amount for C8 in any drinking water. Okay, why is that a problem? Well, it's a problem because just downstream from Pittman Creek, where the effluent comes out of this this defective wastewater treatment plant where they're dumping all this stuff, just downstream, not far, is the outtake for the Pulaski County drinking water. And I have hit everybody up with open records requests demanding that they provide, have they been testing for C8? And as to date, nobody's coughed up a test or anybody's testing for C8. In fact, you have Miss White or Miss Robertson saying, no, we're not testing, we're not going to test. Well, now the standard is there's no safe limits for C8 anywhere. And okay, even in the lake, if you're water skiing in Pittman Creek, I don't know about you people, but when I water ski or boogie board, I fall in the water. It goes up my nose, it goes up my mouth, it's in my ears. You're getting this in your body. There are no safe limits. So, here's what I did. I sent an email back to Miss Robertson, pre-treatment coordinator. I said, Dear Miss Robertson, last year you responded, and by the way, this was on June 20th, okay, almost a month ago, right? Dear Miss Robertson, last year you responded to a question about PFOs, PFOAs, C8 from Dana Whitus in an email. You stated in your response that there are no standards set for these toxic chemicals and that the state of Kentucky was not and would not be testing for them. And I put, here's attached. Here is an article, see attached, that clearly states that the EPA, federal EPA, finds that there are no safe levels for these forever chemicals. None. No safe levels. That's the standard now. Get it out of the water, get it out now, you better be testing for it. Now that this, and then I say, now that this has been repeatedly established by numerous sources that these toxic chemicals are most definitely linked to many types of cancers, what will your agency do about regulating and testing for this? What was her response back? Crickets. This is your tax dollars going to the Kentucky Division of Water and the state EPA, all this tax money that you're paying, and you have to pay for the use of water too, right? You pay a water bill, so you're paying twice, right? And this woman and your governor, who has done nothing about this, and he knows about it, absolutely he does, they're doing nothing to protect you. So, that's where we're at on Lake Cumberland, what really lies beneath. To see the full story and how we exposed all of this, it's just an incredible story, folks. And I'm just saying that because we did it. I'm saying it because it is. It's true. Go to YouTube, type in Lake Cumberland, what really lies beneath. It'll come right up. There's part 1 and part 2. Part 2 is the documents, which absolutely prove up everything that I'm saying. So, now, go ahead, Michael Mann.
Well, I would like to repeat the fact of where these places are located. Where the wastewater is emptying out of Pittman Creek, if you go downstream and you're standing at the intake for the drinking water, you can look up and see within sight of where this wastewater is being dumped into Lake Cumberland, and it's just coming right down to where they take it into the drinking water. So there's not a lot of nature to filter between these two locations.
Yeah, and we showed that on the film. You can actually visually, I stand on the Waitsboro dock and our cameraman shoots back and you can see the bridge, kind of where the bridge is kind of where Pittman Creek flows into Lake Cumberland. And Lake Cumberland then flows into Cumberland River, which goes all the way to Nashville and then on to the Mississippi River and then to the ocean eventually. But the problem is these forever chemicals don't break down. says so. The EPA says so. Every scientist known to mankind who's looked at this. It's horrible. Also, if you go to our Lake Cumberland Really Lies Belief, scroll down. I have posted where 3 agencies that had nothing to do with us, completely separate from us. These are environmentally concerned agencies, have come into Kentucky and tested the lakes, rivers, and streams of Kentucky and drinking water at various locations in Kentucky. One of them says, I think it was 69%, no, it was 72%. I may be wrong about it. Go and look. But it says, of all lakes, rivers, and streams in Kentucky are contaminated with this C8, okay, that's the PFO's PFOA, C8. Also, one of them said over 92% of all the drinking water they've tested is already contaminated with C8. That should scare everybody to death because the state of Kentucky, your tax dollars, the idiots in Frankfurt are doing, and your elected officials, your state reps, your state senators, and they're all up, a bunch of them up for election this fall. Remember that. They are not doing anything to protect you, and you should be appalled by that. Okay. Also, somebody asked a question, well, wait a minute. How do you know that it's getting through? Well, here's how I know it's getting through, and these documents show this. You'll see that in part 2. E. coli is measured in parts per million. Okay, if E. coli and suspended solids, which are bigger, measured in bigger amounts, okay, are getting through this system, and they are, that's documented, you'll see that. There was a couple of times like they had 10 times the allowable limits for E. coli dumping into Pittman Creek from this wastewater treatment plant, okay, which I've had experts tell me they should have shut down Pittman Creek and sent out notifications. They sent out nothing. This has been covered up, basically, until we exposed it. If this stuff's getting through, then C8 is getting through. That's a fact. So, and they're just not willing to test it. I think they're afraid to test because I think that what they're going to find out, and they don't want the public to know it, and they flooded the Cumberland River with C8. That's what I think. So, okay, on to our next topic. Folks, I know this is, you guys can start calling in, 376-5000, that's 606-376-5000, or 372-0002, 372-0002. This next topic, I know, is highly controversial. And you can call in about the bears, you can call in about the Lake Cumberland, what really lies beneath, if that concerns you, or you can call in any of these 3 topics that we're trying to cover tonight. Gender identity. Should this be taught or even discussed by our professionals, our teachers, or anyone in the school system to kids? Should this be being discussed to kids? Okay, I'm going to tell you my opinion on what it's based on. And I know some of you extremely woke liberals are going to get extremely mad at me, and I don't care. Here's the bottom line. I was a special agent for, most of you guys know, our regulars know what I used to do for a living. Okay, I was a special agent first. I was a captain in U.S. Army Military Police Corps assigned to a criminal investigation division. I was an investigator, basically, for the Army. It was kind of like CSI. Well, U.S. Army CIDs kind of does the same thing. We did all rapes, robberies, all the felonies. After that, I went on board with the Department of Treasury. Then I was assigned to a DEA task force, U.S. Customs, Treasury, and I just went immediately on the one money laundering and narcotics task force after another. However, what United States Customs Service back then, there was no ICE, okay? Back then it was under Treasury. The special agents also had the duty of importation of child pornography. And what we would do is, I didn't do these cases as a case agent, but my partner did, Ruben Sandoval, and he was very good at this. And I would assist him because he helped me on all my narcotics cases. So we would set up where we would get people talking and we would record this. They would think that they're talking to a child. And it didn't take much of a conversation of an adult talking to a child on the internet or on the phone, whatever we could get a warrant to do, okay? And we would get warrants for their house. Or they would do importation of child pornography, and then we would, a lot of times that's how we would get them talking on the internet. We put a lot of people in prison for having pretty minimal conversations with children about sexual identity, things that they had no business talking to some strange kid, or even if it wasn't stranger, so, sometimes unfortunately it was some idiot relative talking to them. They would go to prison for that. And because there's a felony statute there, and it's still there, a federal statute. It's called grooming. That's the nickname for it. You are not allowed to talk to kids about sexuality in a certain way, because it's almost like over time what they're doing is they're grooming that child to become acceptable to talk about child sexuality, and then they groom those kids in, because what the next step is child molestation. And we have put a lot of people in jail before they ever laid hands on a kid, that kid. But usually what happens is we go to do a warrant, then we do a neighborhood canvas. I got to tell you this, on all those cases that I worked, every single time we did a warrant and we did a neighborhood canvas, we always found victims. I've never ever been involved in a search warrant of somebody on one of these undercover cases or the importation of child pornography. Never once did we do a search warrant that we didn't find where an individual had victimized at least one kid. Usually it's more. So you guys can start calling in now. Michael Mann, am I wrong?
Well, I don't think you're wrong. And which, I don't really agree with the teachers, doing the gender identity in school, my personal opinion. For one thing, I think the backstory on it is they're trying to make so if a child is gay, that they feel comfortable in their own skin. And I agree with not bashing gays, But if they're gay, they're going to figure it out on their own. They don't need somebody
coaching them.
Yes, because what's going to happen, they're going to raise curiosity in children who are not gay, who may commit acts that later on they're going to feel horrible about.
Yeah, here's the thing. I watched an interview of a parent, and one of the things the parent said, and I wish I could remember who this was, but it was a famous person. I don't remember who it was, but I watched an interview of them coming out against this, and they said, my 8-year-old thinks he's Batman. That's the level of thinking. He runs around and he really believes he can be Batman. Do you want somebody talking to an 8-year-old about gender at school? Here's the other thing too. Our school systems are really failing compared to a lot of countries, okay? We need to be teaching kids reading, writing, arithmetic, stuff they need to know to go to college or whatever. When do you have time to teach gender identity? That just blows my mind that magically all of a sudden schools can find time. Let me say that, I should have said this in the beginning. Let me say this too. So far I have received, and believe me, I would have gotten the reports. I have received 0 reports that the school district here is trying to do that. Let me be clear. And if you guys know something different, let me know. I have received 0 reports that the school district here are doing that. Also, I haven't really received any reports. I received a couple reports, but then I couldn't verify them that this happened in Pulaski County, because right now we have Truth or Politics in Pulaski County also. So, here's the other concern. My husband made a really good point. He knows, I've told him my whole life story, we've been together for 20 years. I was a total tomboy growing up. I was. I wanted to be a cop. From the time I saw, policewoman, I'm like, oh man, that's me. Every cop show, man, I was going to, and that's what I became. He made a good point. He goes, what if when you were a little kid, Acadians, our little grandson's 9 years old, just turned 9 years old. What if when you were little, somebody started telling you, well, you like wearing your hair short, you like, doing jobs that are guys, you want to be a cop, are you sure you're not gay? What if somebody started telling me that kind of stuff when I was younger? That could have really fried my brain or confused me. So, that really struck a chord with me, especially at school. Especially if the parents are telling you, you have no permission to talk to my child. about anything sexual. You show me somebody that's trying to argue with a parent against that, against the parent's wishes, and I'll show you a red flag. That person needs to be looked at as a pedophile. Yes, I said it. There is no reason that somebody should be arguing against a parent. You know, I don't care what the parent says. We should be able to talk sexual gender identity with your child. That's a red flag. It just is. I'm sorry. That's just creepy to me. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Call in. Tell me I'm wrong. You know, just you know, be professional here. I just know that as a trained investigator, you know, working on cases for so many years and assisting on cases like this, you know, these sexual predator cases, this creeps me out. It just does. What it does is it gives a foothold, it gives an avenue of excuse for a true pedophile to do what they do. I remember, you probably remember this, 5 or 6 years ago we had a show, we had on child molestation, preventing child molestation, okay? And I had people from the state of Kentucky, I had, you know, all the people that, you know, the different organizations. I had, what, maybe 8 people on the show, trying to teach people how to prevent your kid from getting, you know, sexually assaulted. And one of the things I said, and I took some heat from some folks, and I'm going to say it again because I'm right, okay? Predators go where the prey is. There's a reason a lion will sit around and watch a pond, okay? Because that's where the prey comes. There's a reason pedophiles flock to schools, churches, Boy Scouts. And I said Boy Scouts back then, and I got reamed by somebody protecting the Boy Scouts, National Boy Scouts. And sure enough, it was like a year later, all the lawsuits started coming out that the Boy Scouts were, you know, similar stuff, all these victims coming forward, kind of like the Catholic Church, okay? And I'm going to say it again. The pond that the lions, okay, the lion in the pond, well, the predators, the pedophiles, the ponds are schools, churches. I'm telling you folks, I know you don't want to hear this, and it's hard to hear it. You cannot be too trusting around these organizations. You have to watch your kids, because these predators are like chameleons. That, you know, every time we did a warrant, it was a teacher, it was a substitute teacher, it was, you know, a deacon of a church. Every single time it was someone in a position to have access to kids, because predators go where the prey is. And that's the pond, folks, I'm telling you. And go ahead.
And the people that know them will defend them. You know, they never do that. You know, they're one of the greatest people I've ever known. Like that one guy who molested the Olympic girls.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the people that was around him and the organization supported him 100%.
Oh, that's the gymnastics kids, yeah.
Yeah. No.
Well, look at the guy up there with the, was it Penn State? The assistant coach at Penn State, right under whatever the big famous coach was. At Penn State had been grooming kids, you know, for years. Just doing that kind of stuff. I'm telling you guys, if you're a parent out there, you cannot be too trusting. You cannot be too trusting with your kids in sports. You cannot be too trusting of people. Every time we did a warrant, he's right. Every time we did a warrant, and maybe not every time, but almost every time we did warrants on this stuff, we would have the whole neighborhood come out. Oh, you can't be this, can't be that. There is a church, I won't mention the name of it, one of the biggest churches in California. Okay, that big crystal cathedral thing. Okay, we did a warrant. This was in Orange County, California. I ain't gonna mention the guy's name. We did a warrant there. It was importation of child pornography, but then we did the undercover with the voiceovers and everything. We did a warrant at this house. This is the lifestyles of the rich and famous neighborhood where, you know, the cheapest house is $5 million, okay? Gated community, the whole 9 yards. We went into this deacon of this extremely popular, huge, televised church, and the stuff we seized was disgusting. It just was. Basically, his wife was helping him lure these kids in, and they were getting them on video. Well, guess who shows up while we're doing the Warrenton? We're doing the neighborhood canvas. The very famous then preacher from that church. He shows up in his, black limo and everything, and his driver, and he's just trying to defend the guy. And I said, come here, come with me. Me and Reuben took him back there, put the video in, and said, this is your deacon. And you just see his whole body just like go like this, like, oh my God. Because it was bad. He left and shut the hell up after that. I mean, that was it. And when we did that neighborhood canvas, I'll never forget that, because I have assisted with the neighborhood canvas. Within 1 hour of doing a neighborhood canvas, we came up with like 12 victims in that neighborhood. And here that whole neighborhood was out defending him. Telling us, boo, and hissing and going like this, down, thumbs down to us and everything, defending this guy. So that's what you're up against. You've got to be careful. And I can't stress enough kids with phones. What a danger that is. We talked about that on our show before. Kids should not have cell phones. I'm sorry. Children should not have cell phones. They're not careful with them. It's danger. They post pictures of themselves, and I'm telling you, once it's on the internet, you can't call it back. And once it's on the internet, it's gone. Once that you start, especially some of these young girls and these boys get them to do it. These high school kids or junior high. I think junior high is worse. Junior high boys, oh, come on, take a picture, send it to me. And they trust their little junior high boyfriend to take a picture of them, pulling their top up or whatever. Then it's gone. It's gone forever. That makes them a target. Then those kids become a target on the internet, because you can bet that picture then somehow ends up on the dark web. And, and predators do that. Again, you guys can start calling in, 606-376-5000. We got bugs here. Another reason I hate summertime.
We was talking about the schools and gender identity being taught. I know a family in Michigan that son, I want to say, and I might not be accurate, 12, 13 years old. And suddenly the school says, okay, on your backpacks, put your gender identity on the back of your backpack. In that way.
You gotta be kidding me.
No, seriously. The school told him to do that. And he's like, I don't want anything to do with this.
Yeah.
And so he did not put anything on his backpack. Well, he was chastised by the teachers and other children. I mean, they was just on to him. Like I said, you shouldn't bash gays and stuff. Well, they was bashing him.
For just not being involved.
Right.
Yeah, bullying's wrong. Okay, let me be clear too. Bullying is wrong, period. No teacher, no student, nobody has a right to make a little kid feel bad about themselves, period. End of story. But the flip side of that coin is no teacher, no adult in a school should be addressing sexuality in any way to a kid, in my humble opinion. That's my opinion. Because it just opens too many doors. It just, it lends itself to some major problems. Especially if the parents are telling you no. The parents should have a say-so here. By the way, in a lot of our undercover stuff, we've put parents in prison for the wrong kind of conversation with kids. So, parents should be the ultimate decider, what their kids are taught in school. And if I don't want my kid being talked to about their sexual orientation, then that should be respected. I'm sorry, but it just should. That's my opinion, for what it's worth. Again, you guys call in, give me a call. I'm surprised I'm not getting a phone call. I know, the stupid gnat's driving me crazy too. I hate summertime. Anyways, my poor husband has to put up with me moaning and just crabbing all summer long because of the bugs here. The bugs and the heat. I hate it. Okay, 606-376-5000. or 372-0002. That's the call-in for the call-in show. And you can call in about the Bears or also the mayor of Somerset and his cronies on the city council, basically bringing in toxic waste and running through a defective system. And now probably around 40 million gallons of this stuff has already gone in there, maybe more. It was last December they had already put in, I think, just under 30 million gallons, or 32 million then, I think. You can see it on Lake Cumberland, what really lies beneath. We show the actual documents showing that they're doing this. And he's not quitting anytime soon. He's making money off of it, and the city of Somerset's making money off of it, and they don't seem to care that these landfills have C8 in it, and C8 is deadly, says so the EPA and everybody else in the world who knows anything about C8. By the way, every lawsuit against the companies who created this monster, C8, that's DuPont, 3M, it has come out in a lawsuit, and the juries are awarding heavy verdicts against DuPont, and cities who are allowing this to happen. They're getting sued too. LA right now has one. And the juries believe the science behind this because it's proven up that this stuff is deadly. And obviously the federal EPA does too. So the state of Kentucky is just lame. And the governor is lame, and he's up for re-election soon too. So anybody that just allows somebody to dump toxic waste into the lake, rivers and streams, and does nothing about it, and they've known about this for at least 2019 they started bringing in toxic waste, but 2016 is when they started, giving them, finding, giving them, they should have been finding them, they didn't find them any. And that's one of the things we found out too. But dogging them and giving them these basically fine sheets or whatever, saying that you're putting toxic waste, you're putting toxic stuff, E. coli and stuff into Lake Cumberland, but they didn't do anything about it. Since 2016, they're still not doing anything about it. We did another open records request. I had posted this on an earlier show, and you can go scroll down and you can see this. Right up to March 2022, this year, they're still bringing this stuff in. It's still defective. The wastewater treatment plant is still defective, and they're still poisoning the lake. And your tax dollars, your idiots in Frankfurt are doing nothing about this, to include doing nothing about C8. So.
Well, have you submitted any records request to the water treatment plant itself, not the wastewater, but the water treatment, where they're taking the water in?
Oh, to the drinking water people? Yes, I sent open records request to them asking for, give me all your test results you're testing for C8, PFOs, PFOAs. I did all PFOs, PFOAs. They coughed up nothing, and basically because they're not testing for it. So next time you sit down in Somerset in a restaurant with a glass of iced tea and ice in it or whatever, you need to think about what you're drinking, because they have to date. I went in front of the city council up there, and you can watch that. And I kept asking him, where's your testing for C8? His answer kept saying, we're meeting state guidelines. Well, state guidelines suck, and I say that. They suck. They're not testing for C8. I'm asking you, are you testing for C8? He has not, to date, ever coughed up one test for C8, because they're not testing for C8, because I personally believe that they're scared to death that what the tests are going to reveal. And what's going to end up happening is a lot of these other cities and municipalities that are getting sued, the city of Somerset, and this mayor and the city council. There's some city councilmen that are against this. We had a public forum, they showed up, they tried to fight it, and kudos to those city council members for standing up for you. But enough of them, were in Mayor Keck's little clique, and they're still bringing it in. And you all should be appalled by that. Let me tell you another reason you should be appalled. Some of these environmental organizations in Kentucky, I was going to list the names, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to give them another chance. Okay, I just emailed a bunch of them the second go around. But so far, back when this first came out, which was back in March, when we first came out with this, with our documentary or special report, Lake Cumberland, What Really Lies Beneath, I sent this link to every environmental group in Kentucky, okay, and a bunch of national ones. So far, what we've gotten back from them is crickets. They haven't lifted a finger to do anything to protect you. Now, these are the ones that are asking for donations, whatever. And one of the big ones, I am going to lay this one out, because I had individuals who are in this organization call me and tell me the following. It's Kentuckians for the Commonwealth. I'm calling you out. Kentuckians for the Commonwealth. Supposed to be a big organization, really caring about the lakes, rivers, and streams, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I sent not just one, I've sent several emails to people in your organization and to your organization, and I've got the emails, I can prove this up. And you guys have done nothing. Nothing. And I've had people from your organization privately call me or private message me, and anonymously, because, they don't want to be thrown under the bus, and I'm not going to, tell me that your organization is playing politics. Basically, you don't want to embarrass this governor. When you start playing politics with people's lives, your organization needs to go away. You need to go away, or you need to do something about this. Or guess what? Stop calling yourself, we're Kentuckians for the Commonwealth, because you're not Kentuckians for the Commonwealth. You're not for anybody if you're doing this. And I've had 2 people from your organization tell me this. So you need to go watch Lake Cumberland, What Really Lies Beneath, and look at the 117 documents that we post. I got a stack this big of 1,000 documents that absolutely prove up everything I'm saying. And let me tell you how you know that everything I'm saying is proven up. Where's my lawsuit? Why hasn't Mayor Keck turned around and sued me for defamation? Really? Why hasn't some of the city council sued me for defamation? Why hasn't any of the businesses who, on my understanding, they're already losing money? Thank you, Mayor Keck, for doing this. We just exposed it. Where's the lawsuit? Why am I not being sued? Why? Well, because the minute they go to any lawyer, a lawyer's going to tell them, she's got 1,000 documents proving this up. How are you going to sue? Right?
Well, they watched part 2.
Yeah. You can bet the lawyers went and watched part 2 and said, no thanks, I'm not taking this case, I can't win. She's already buried you in a lawsuit. In fact, be the jury. You people out there, go be the jury. Go to watch part 1 so you get a good idea of what's going on. Then watch part 2 as we present these documents. And you tell me, if we weren't in court, who you would find, either me or Mayor Keck in the city council. And I guarantee you, if you care anything about the waters and streams of Kentucky, or about being sick, which there are people, we film people that are getting sick. And I've had a tremendous amount of people contact me after this came out, telling me this is why I think I'm sick. I live on Pittman Creek. I drink the water. I've got these cancers. So that's what's going on here, folks. And we did our best to expose it. We will continue to expose it. We will continue to follow this, because I think it's important. And for you people in surrounding counties, you think, well, I'm not in Pulaski County. Oh, okay. Do you eat fish from Lake Cumberland? Do you boat or swim in Lake Cumberland? If you do, and you say, well, I just won't go to Pulaski County. Okay. Lake Cumberland flows into the Cumberland River, anywhere along the Cumberland River downstreams, because, again, these things are called forever chemicals. Forever chemicals. They do not break down. Says so the EPA. That's why there's no safe level for them. They are carcinogenic. This has been proven. So you people out there, you watchers, should be concerned about this. You should be extremely concerned. And I think you should be concerned about somebody teaching your kid against your will about gender identity. Again, let me just say, I've gotten no reports about this in the McCurry County School District. And I've gotten no reports in Pulaski County. We're getting phone calls and it's not ringing in here because I'm seeing it lighten up, guys.
Turn your volume up.
Truth or Politics, what's your comment or question?
Yeah, the first whole, your show just now popped up on TV a little while ago. I had it on and it popped up here. And first off, I'm gonna say about the water, coming
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, the people in Nashville, Tennessee probably be worried about that, because it goes all the way down through Nashville, Tennessee.
Exactly.
And that stuff does not go away, like you said. And another thing too, about them teaching kids things in the schools they shouldn't be teaching them. I don't think they mentioned this before on your show, because I get to watch it just now, kicked on a few minutes ago. But in some places, I think it's even on election news, on election up there. And they're talking, they're trying to teach you kids now that there's 3 sexes. Not just male and female. And some of these schools now, probably not down here, but that there's 3 sexes. I mean that's just, well, that's all I can say about that without saying a few other words I shouldn't say, so. I'll leave it over there.
All right, thank you, caller. Thank you.
Well, one thing, if you can take a child who has originally known their gender and you can convince them that they don't know whether they're a boy or a girl,
Yeah.
you have completely destroyed their ability to reason. And
Yeah, you can confuse them.
And they'll accept anything you feed them after that point.
Yeah, and that's called grooming, and that's a felony. I'm telling you, there are felony statutes that say if you do this, if you're an adult and you're talking to a child like this, your butt can go to prison. And I don't understand how these school systems are getting around these federal regulations, criminal statutes that have put people in prison for this very thing. So I don't get it. And, and I just think that people in school, the teachers and whoever, the workers there, they don't need to be talking to kids about anything sexually related, in my opinion. Not gender, not nothing. You need to be teaching them arithmetic, writing, I covered it a few years ago, maybe it's like 10 years ago or something. There was a big study of college students. They asked them what the 3 branches of government were. It was like over 90% of college students not only didn't know what the 3 branches of government were, didn't know what they did. Okay, how about we teach kids what they're supposed to know? Education, not sex stuff that I think it's just got no business in schools. I think that bullying, we don't need to bully anybody. You can be nice to everybody. You shouldn't. Okay, hopefully we're getting this fixed here. Okay, thank you. I saw it lighten up, so some of the callers, sorry if we missed you. Call in again. We had a technical thing. Go ahead and call back in. Go ahead.
Well, there's one thing I'd like to touch on that I've seen on Facebook quite a bit, and I have become of the notion over the last while, if you post something on your Facebook page, unless you say, what do you think, then you're inviting my opinion. But if you post it as a statement, if I don't agree with it, I just scroll on.
Yeah.
Because that's your business. But I have seen a few times people posting that if your parents doesn't accept your gender, I'll be your new mommy.
That's creepy. And I'm telling you, that kind of language will get you a federal investigation. It used to anyway. If you're doing that kind of thing, it's called grooming. And federal agents monitor all these sites. I know because we used to do these cases. And the next thing you know, you think you're talking to a child. You're not. You're talking to an undercover agent. And you're going to have a warrant at your house and you're going to prison. I'm not going to mention any names, but relatively recently we had an individual here in the county. They did warrants, and odds are he's going to prison. So, you guys, this is not what we need in our schools. It just opens the floodgates for a predator to step through that doorway. It just does. You as a teacher may be thinking, oh, this poor kid, I'm just trying to be helpful. Maybe you're not a predator. Maybe you're not. But what it does is when you allow standards of ethics like that, when you allow that to come into a school, Just because you're not a predator, just because you're not grooming, doesn't mean the guy right behind you's not going to, or girl. So keep that in mind. You know, again, I'll say it again, and you can dog me all you want. I'm right about this. Predators go to the pond. Predators go where the prey is. The prey is in schools.
Now, I will say the ones that I seen post that, I think was just trying to be supportive of this new movement.
Yeah.
But it's wrong, you know.
Yeah. And I understand people are trying to just protect kids from being bullying. Okay? I get that. But what you're doing when you make it okay and acceptable for officials in school, teachers, whoever, adults in school, when you make it acceptable for adults in school and that becomes commonplace to talk to kids about their sexuality or anything sexual, you are opening the door for a predator to step through. That's what you're doing. Whether you know it or not, that's the result. You can protect kids from being bullying without talking about sexual gender, without talking about anything sexual, in my opinion. We've done it for years. We've tried to, and I know bullying is a problem, and it needs to be addressed. But this is not the answer, in my opinion. This will make it worse. Go ahead.
Well, I think sex, religion, and politics should be at home.
Right, especially if the parents are telling you, don't talk to my kid. And you're telling the parent, screw you, I'm going to talk to your kid about whatever I want. That's just, to me, that's almost criminal. I mean, no, you do not. Parents need to stand up against this, I think. I see it as dangerous. I think this is dangerous. I think pedophiles and predators are sitting back saying, here's my chance. Even if you mean well, the result is going to be dangerous. It just is. It's going to open a door and let a predator in. It just is. I'm sorry. You're giving a predator one more avenue to get in. And so, anyway, I got 7 more minutes. 606-376-5000 or 372-0002. You can talk about bears, because I know we got some bear problems. You can talk about the lake being poisoned, and yes, I'm real comfortable saying the lake being poisoned, because in my opinion it is, and I got 1,000 documents to back me up. Or you can talk about gender identity, should it be taught in schools? Anything else there, Michael?
Well, one thing that I was thinking about was my experience in college.
Okay, we got a call. Truth or politics, what's your comment or question?
I've got a comment.
Go ahead.
One other thing about schools now, they're teaching them the wrong things in some of these places, I know that. And the thing is, too, we just had an Independence Day here last weekend, and they asked a bunch of kids in school and stuff, you know, they was interviewing people, and they asked them who we declared independence from in 1776. And there's a whole bunch of them had no idea that we declared independence from Great Britain. Some said France, and some said China.
I know, I saw that.
A lot of them thought it was about the Civil War.
You know, I think people should know, these kids should learn this stuff when they're growing up. And also, I just got a comment here, everybody, when you're down in the woods, watch out for elk.
Yeah, we got a lot of elk too, thank you.
You know, if you hit one of these elk, there's a good chance you'll wind up in the hospital.
Yeah, they're big. Thank you, caller. Anything else?
That's all.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point, real quick. They turned a lot of elk loose around here, right behind my house. And in fact, I train search and rescue dogs. I train dogs behind my house. I got a 3-mile power hiking trail behind my house, and my dogs ran an elk almost over top of me. I didn't hurt it. They weren't biting at it or anything. They were just mostly just hurting it and looking at me like, what do we do with this? You know. And as soon as I hit the whistle, they got off of it. But there's a lot of elk, and they're getting in the roadways. So you got to be careful, especially the Cumberland Falls Road, going out Highway 90, Vanderbilt Ridge Road, that whole area around there. All y'all know the locals know where I live. These elk, they hit your car, they're going to come over top if you're in a small car. And I've already had one little bitty car just ruined. And the elk walked off. So these aren't your local deer. Deer can do a lot of damage, and we got those too, and bear. But elk will mess you up. And if you're on a trail or something, you just got to be, leery of them. Just stay back. You give them a chance to leave, they'll leave. But if you get too close, especially a big male elk, they'll go. I watch all the time. Yellowstone Park. If you want to have fun, if you're bored, not that I ever get bored. Yellowstone, on YouTube, they show all these idiots have to get their picture close to an elk or a buffalo, a bison, and they get messed up by the buffalo or bison. It's just like, how stupid can you get? Well, same thing around here, folks. We got a lot of good hiking trails and stuff. Just use some common sense. It ain't worth risking life and limb to get a selfie with an elk.
Yeah, they're not as timid as deer is, and deer will actually charge you too, but these elks, they're a lot more aggressive than deer.
Oh yeah, they are. It kind of worries me on the trail, but I get out there anyways. Dan Gibson always says, you're going to get eaten by a bear, and I'm like, so far so good. I haven't been eaten by anything. So anyways, okay folks, we got 4 minutes left. You got 4 minutes to call in. 606-376-5000 or 372-0002 and talk about either the bears, the poisoning of the lake, or gender ID should it be taught and discussed in schools. Give us a call. And anyway, and you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to thank everybody at the beginning. And let me say this real quick before we take off. And if you call in, we'll go ahead and take your call. I want to thank MBR TV, who always keeps us on the air on television, on cable TV. And I also want to thank our viewers on Facebook. We have had babies. We are now in Pulaski County in Louisville, so we appreciate that. And we're on YouTube, thanks to Michael Mann. I want to thank Michael Mann, too, because he does all the technical stuff behind the scenes, him and Dave, that I'm about as technical as... I don't even know how to work my phone very well, so...
Well, they do the technical stuff. What I do is pretty easy.
Well, I don't understand it. He's the reason we're on Facebook. And we want to welcome all our new Facebook people and our regular followers, too. I forgot to say this in the beginning. So we thank you all for keeping us up, keeping us on the air, and keeping us honest. And we'll keep following up on everything. So we are just about out of time. 3 minutes. So hurry up and call in so I can quit talking. Go ahead, Michael Mann. Say something.
I just kind of went blank at the moment.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah, kind of threw it at me there.
My throat's getting sore. I will tell this story real quick. If somebody calls in, I'll stop telling. Go ahead.
Well, what can people do? How can they address school systems about this? Do they go...
Show up to your school board. Show up to your school board. You guys need to organize. Pulaski County's done a pretty good job of it. They have, Citizens for Pulaski, or Parents for Freedom. Parents for Freedom in Pulaski County. And we're on their page a lot. They show up to the school board meetings. You guys need to show up to your school board meetings en masse. Organize. Find out when your next school board meeting is. Have one person get up very professionally and just say, look, I'm representing all these people here today. Either they all get up and talk or they can just listen to me. We don't want this. We demand that you teach our kids about government and stuff they need to learn to go to college and not sexual orientation. That's what you parents need to be doing. You have to put pressure on the school board or tell them we will vote you out. That's what you need to do. Okay, we are out of time, folks. We're out of time. We appreciate everybody. Thank you, all of our Facebook watchers in Pulaski County, Louisville, and here in southeastern Kentucky. We want to thank Michael Mann and BR TV and everybody. We will see you next time on Truth or Politics. Thanks.